G'day guys, thanks for staying. Almost feel silly using this mic. My name's Brad. I am one of the directors of Springs Medical. Just to give you a bit of a rundown before I introduce Karina, who is our clinical wellness coordinator at the practice and also the lead of what's called Spring in Your Step, and also Bree, who's an exercise physiologist we've been able to poach out of Melbourne via Townsville to work in sunny Daylesford. Just to give you a bit of a heads up of where we are, we're in regional Victoria. We're a modified Monash score of 5. We run a bit of an ED. We're a relatively big practice in a small town. We run many things out of the practice. We're pretty proud of it. Not only HIV, Hep C prescribing and sort of allergy testing and really big, strong women's health. And we've been having a GP in a school for about 18 to 20 years prior to the government stepping in. This is probably one of our one of the things we're most proud of that's happened in the last 18 months. And I will now introduce lovely Karina to take you through it.
Thanks, Brett. So today I'm going to be talking about the Put a Spring in Your Step, or SIS wellness program. I'll just give you a bit of a background, some of the aims of the program, about our team and how we run it, and then just a bit of feedback. We've just got a short video as well. So the West Vic Primary Health Network put out a request for a proposal for provisions of care for chronic conditions. So part of the criteria for that was alignment with the Wagner chronic care model, and the application was for one or more chronic conditions. And a tender was awarded to Springs Medical for the Put a Spring in Your Step cardiovascular and pulmonary wellness program for the 17-18 financial year. So the aims is to increase exercise capacity and strength, improve quality of life. We've got a high-risk cardiovascular disease. Cardiovascular disease high risk in our population. So it's also about trying to reduce BMI, introduce healthy lifestyle adjustments, and obviously reduce hospitalisations. So the team consists of myself and Bree and some of the medical directors at Springs Medical, as well as our clinical team leader, and we've got an administration officer, and that's our management committee. We have meetings through the year for governance of the program and to help steer the direction of the program as it was being commenced and followed through, and we've adapted it over time. And we've also had a SIS advisory group which includes the management committee with community stakeholders to help shape the direction of the program too. So I'm sure you all have heard of the Wagner's chronic care model, but it's basically about informing patients and having good organisation of healthcare around a patient and activating and engaging them to improve outcomes through ultimately self-management. And that's a diagram of that. So we modelled the program on cardio-pulmonary rehabilitation, like the Heart Foundation, Lung Foundation, using those resources that are for those types of rehab, but we made it a bit more preventative as well, and I'll go into the eligibility criteria in a moment. We ran it across the Hepburn Shire, so in 3 townships, Daylesford, Trentham and Creswick Clunes, which, as Brad said, we're about, Trentham's probably closest to Melbourne, which is about 100 k's from Melbourne, to about 150 k's, and then we're kind of close to Ballarat as well, 45 minutes to Ballarat. The program is funded on occasions of service rather than being outcomes funded, and that's from the Primary Health Network. So it's split into each chronic condition, and we have to provide a certain amount of occasions of care per chronic condition over each quarter, and that's how our funding is granted. GP referrals into the program are key for us meeting these targets and meeting the terms of our agreement with West Vic Primary Health Network, and we were awarded with 2 years further funding at the end of the program because we met our agreement and met all of our targets. So we're now running the program till June 2020 at this stage. So the program was a 12-week program for the first financial year. Started with an assessment with either myself or Bree, and then a first stage of the program, which was 6 weeks of 2 exercise sessions per week and 1 education session per week with different allied health professionals, and then a self-management support stage, which was just the continuing on with the exercise sessions. We made some changes to the program for the next 2 financial years, just from what we noticed in the first year. We made it an 8-week program, so extended out that first stage and added in some more education. And then we made the optional 6 weeks maintenance, because we noticed that people either kind of fell out or they wanted to keep going for longer. So we kind of adapted the program to meet those needs, and that was with help from the advisory committee also. We also expanded chronic condition eligibility criteria for the program. So initially it was just cardiovascular disease, COPD and asthma, but we expanded it out to include diabetes, mental health and musculoskeletal conditions. And again, as I mentioned, the funding's based on the occasions of care, so that's still split up between the chronic conditions. And the reason why we wanted to include these is because we noticed a lot of improvements with people who had comorbidities such as like depression, anxiety disorders or musculoskeletal disorders, and they were, you know, feeling more benefit for those kind of conditions than they necessarily were because they had high blood pressure. So we wanted to be able to include people in the community who didn't necessarily fit the cardiovascular or pulmonary conditions, but we thought could still get benefit and still had a chronic condition. So that's why we expanded the criteria there. So we also introduced a couple of extra education sessions. So as listed there, we go through diet, medications, we have psychologists, we do advanced care planning, podiatry, foot health and exercise, and physio sessions as well. So a couple of slides here with just some feedback from some of our patients. So this is John, who's got COPD, and he has been coming for quite a while now, and he's in the maintenance program in Trentham, where we run the program in a small football training club rooms, and we've put some extra equipment in there and we run it in there. So he's got a lot of benefit, and even people in the town who I bump into will kind of say, you know, we've noticed such a big difference with John, and it's really rewarding to see that. Likewise, this is Mason, who's from Dalesford, which is a bigger township, where we run the program in a local gym. He is newly diagnosed Parkinson's disease, and he also has cardiovascular disease, and he's noticed vast improvements and is turned into a gym junkie now, and is there all the time, so it's been great for someone who'd never really been to a gym before. So this is just some clips from an article that was in a local newspaper, and yeah, some other participants who've got some good results. And now, so I'm just going to show a little video. It's really loud. I'll let you do that.
I look at Spring as your step as a way of improving exercise capabilities, improving outcomes regarding heart and lung, and just improving general well-being.
So we conceived of the program in response to an application for a government-funded program. We recognised that most of the heart and lung rehabilitation programs in the metropolitan and regional areas were just focused on people with established disease, and for people in isolated and rural communities, it was too far to travel. So we wanted to bring a program to the people. We wanted it to be aimed at people who may get disease as well as those who already have disease. We wanted it to be affordable, and we wanted it to be delivered by local people, delivered locally. And in addition, that helps us to keep expertise in the community.
We've got one of the worst cardiovascular health outcomes in the state. Our ability to do rehabilitation after lung or heart disease is almost non-existent. They have to drive 45 minutes each way, and so that goes down the way of the gurgler.
I was introduced by a local doctor, having been quite ill with chest infections and probably a misspent youth smoking, and having serious problems with my lungs. So, and I was a little overweight as well, which I am working on that. But so it was an opportunity to develop some fitness.
But fortunately, thanks to this program, I'm gaining more confidence and balance, especially that I'm now getting back onto the bike occasionally.
So you come here and there's no judgment because everybody's feeling a little bit cactus to start with, and at the end of it, everybody's looking a lot better, everybody's got that much more motivation.
I found by coming to gym, and indeed the program, reintroduced me to a network. And I'm a group person, and I just love that aspect of it. But the exercising is good for my mind and my body. And I never feel better than when I'm leaving the gym. It's the best part of my day.
4 years ago, when I was 68, I had a massive stroke, and then the spring in your step was mentioned to me from the Springs Medical Centre here, and I thought, wow, this is great, and I love it.
I don't look like them yet, but never mind, I'm working on it. Yeah.
So I might just invite Brad up again just to talk through a couple of some of the surprising secondary benefits of the program that we found, and go through our future directions with it.
Thanks, Karina. Guys, for those who may not know Victoria, those images were taken in our summertime. If you didn't know, we're land of a long grey cloud where we are. Guys, we've ran up, this is basically into our sort of third lot of 6 months, and we didn't really know what was going to come of this program. It took a little bit of time to get the momentum, to get the staff once we got the funding. But what we found really over this second part is some of these changes that we've really seen. Probably the biggest thing that we've seen come out is the psychological well-being was probably unprecedented and really underappreciated beforehand. Just people coming back saying how well they feel. We don't really have the numbers yet. We don't have the parameters of blood pressure and exercise capabilities and all those things. But just the anecdotal feedback we're getting is unbelievable. And it's hard to stop them coming. At the start, it was us referring. One of the benefits we found was that it was a GP referring in-house services, really, rather than just say something driven in a community health centre. But you really didn't have any clue about. When people did do rehab near us, we didn't have a clue what actually was going on. We'd get some letter at the end saying they had it done. So we were able to drive that. Now we are finding that people are coming in to us saying, I want to have a go at this. Other things, improved relationships with community stakeholders. We've sort of funded we've given equipment to the local gym, a defib to one of the gyms. We've been able to increase the basically the equipment of one of our local Aussie rural clubs that wasn't that great. And we've really been able to improve these things. The gym in Dalesford, it's still doing all right. It definitely has improved its viability, and we probably didn't appreciate those things as well. We talked about that. I think John Barrell, the guy talking on there, ability to retain and recruit staff is a big one and we're not that rural compared to some of the places that you guys will talk about in this conference. But just maintaining staff, especially high quality staff like Karina and Bree, is vital for this. It wouldn't exist if we didn't have Karina and Bree. So being able to have some funding to be able to keep them working with us has been, an amazing benefit for us. And also, I think one thing we found is that normally this money would probably go to community health. This is money that would probably go there, and we've found that giving primary care, and we are a big practice, giving primary care the ability to try and drive this, to run this, puts us probably in another location and sort of says, if the government looks to us and says, if you fund us, we will improve things. We're going to prove it. We need the data to get it. But it shows that we are not only a centre for, treating, but also preventing disease. Where we really hope to go to, we need continuing improvement through evaluation and feedback. We want to streamline the systems to increase engagement and stop the fallouts. Look, people got sick, people had illnesses, people had surgeries and they dropped out, trying to keep them coming back in. We're looking for a research partner, if anyone knows anyone, because we want to put this thing forward a bit more, interested in qualitative research, because we know that if this is going to be viable for us long term and also Australia-wide, we're going to need the numbers for the bean counters. We want to continue to provide a quality program for the Hepburn Shire. Hepburn Shire is quite big for the density of population. It's actually quite a big area. We're going to improve the reach of program. We're going to start probably looking next year into including cancer sufferers and survivors. And really what we're also looking for is this program couldn't exist without the government funding. There's no way around that. That how we can develop a really cost-effective program for the greater community access. Not only probably weight management, but as that gentleman said, improving balance is another one as well. Thank you very much. Have you guys got any questions at all? Karina? Yeah, please.
Other one. In your program, do you
hold on for the mic?
They can hear us.
Great. In your program, do you focus on high intensity exercise? Do you focus on weight-based program? Like, what's actually in the exercise?
Stand up, Bree.
So we do resistance and cardiovascular exercises just to try and improve both, because most people that do come in to do the program, they're not doing anything. So we just start small and just at basic levels and then build it up. There's people in there now that are doing vigorous exercises, and we just keep progressing it depending on where they've started and where they get to. So they're individually tailored. It usually starts off with a fairly similar basic program that Bree does it, and then she'll individually tailor it to each person and what their needs are over time, and that changes as well. If they injure their shoulder or they do something, whatever, then Bree will be able to help adapt their program to fit with their individual needs. So and their goals as well. So a lot of it's health coaching, developing relationships, giving those, monitoring their blood pressure over time. There's a nurse at every exercise session, so you really develop a rapport with people in the community, and then can kind of build on that to individualise, set goals, do health coaching, all of that other stuff along with it. And I think that's where you get that real improvement in engagement and trying to help with sustained lifestyle adjustment, which is the ultimate goal, I guess. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks very much.